doesn't matter where you place this, the React file you want to create, it doesn't really matter at all. And I'm going to be using the command prompt CMD because all of us here we are using Windows operating system, whether it's Windows 10, 11, 7, 8. So I'm going to be using these command prompts. But you have the option of getting your Git bash, okay? Getting your Git bash. This Git bash is also good, but I won't be using it for today. Now, there are certain installations you need to run before you install or before you'll be able to create your React app. And one of them, sorry guys, one of them is that you must have downloaded Node.js. So you must have downloaded Node.js. And this Node.js, you are not loading fine. What is the problem? Good. So this is the Node.js official website, and you must have downloaded the stable version of this Node.js. So at this point now, the version of Node is up to version 22. Okay. Now, Node is not a library. Node is not a framework. Node is a runtime environment that allows JavaScript to be executed or to run, okay, on a browser. That is what this Node is. It's a runtime environment. So if you have not downloaded Node yet, you visit nodejs.org and you have this download tab. So when you get here, this will automatically detect the operating system that you are running. But up here, you have the version 23.11 and you have from 0, so you choose the version you want. But you must, it is advisable you choose this version with LTS, okay? The one with LTS, that's the one you choose. If it's for Windows, you have it here. If it's for Ubuntu or other operating system, you have them here. Linux, AIX, Mac, and all of that. So you go ahead and download your Node. When you download, you install it. It's a straightforward something to do. So when you have done the installation and you want to know if Node is properly installed and is running on your system, when you open your command prompts, you put in node space -v. Now you can see that it will return the version of Node that is installed on your system. Me, I'm running version 20.18. So if you run this code, node space -v, and it's not returning any version, rather maybe it returns error or some other stuff, then it simply means that Node has to be installed. You have not yet installed Node. Okay? Now, when you install Node, it comes with another package called the npm. Okay? So this npm, it is installed or downloaded together with Node. So you don't need to come and download npm and install it separately. And that even reminds me, so this is a very useful tool, documentation, when we start working with Node. So If you run npm-v, you can also run npm-v to see if npm is properly installed, and it will also give you the version of npm, which stands for Node Packet Manager, that is in your system. So here I have Node version 20 and npm version 19. Version 10.9. So these are the two things you have to seriously check. If they two of them are not present on your system, then you have to visit the Node.js official website, go to this download for your operating system, install it, and then after installation, you open your CMD again, your command prompt, and then you run the code again to see if everything is okay. So are we all on the same page up to this level? Yes or yes, no or no? Okay. Now, let's now go into the installation. So like I said, I'm going to be using this command prompts to install, and what is it called again? Network, respect yourself, and then behave well this time around, because I need you the most now. So what I will do first is I will I will access this my folder with my command prompts. Okay, so I will use the cd, which stands for change directory. Right now I'm inside my, how do I call it, my user directory, and I need to cd into desktop, into this folder, into this. Now I can copy the path from here and paste, and it will just take me there directly, but I would like to do it one at a time, just for us to be refreshed, or for us to see maybe what we don't know yet. So I will say cd, which means change directory, and I will first get into my desktop. Now, the last name you see here indicates the current folder that you are in. And right here I'm inside my desktop. So if I do something like ls, oh, sorry, I'm not using, not, sorry for that. That's a wrong code. So from this desktop, I have my testing 22 inside. I'm going to do cd again. So I have multiple folder with testing. So I'll say testing 22. I'll get in it. And then inside the testing 22, I am going to access this React Basic. So I'll cd again inside the React Basics, and here we are. So right now I'm inside this folder where we want to do our what is it called? Where we want to do our installation. What am I going to install? Let's go back to this place. Let's go to learn here, building from scratch. So this is what I want to install here, but I will not use np. I will not use npm. I will use npx. But if it gives issue, I will use npm. Let's try the two and see what happens. So from here to here, that's what I want to install. First of all, I will run npm create it at latest, and this will be the name of the project. Okay, I don't want to include this one in my first installation, the first line of code that I want to run. So here I would say npx. There's something I want us to note. So as the custom, our custom is so that sometimes we make some deliberate mistakes for the purpose of learning. npx creates reads at latest, and I'll just call this my first React app. Now, watch when you are writing the name of your app. Don't use capital letter. If you use capital letter, it will give you an error. Make sure everything is small letter, no space. Instead, put the hyphen dash dash dash. So I'll hit my enter, and let's see what is going to happen. I press enter, like with the weights. So you can see Vara. Nice one. Here it said you just run npx create, which installs and run this npm package named create. Okay. You likely want npm create, the built-in npm command to install and run a package with a name like create. Then it's giving me a link where all this blah 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 is coming from. Now, that's what I mean. When some installations are done, you make use of npx. Okay, but npx does not run the create command. That is the issue here. So npx does not run the create command. You can do npx install. Okay, that will install libraries or some packages. But np, if you want to create, you need to use the node package manager. So I'll go back up like this, and then just change this npx to npm, and I run it again. Okay, you see, everything is working fine. Now, take notes. What is happening here? First, he's saying, I want us to see that young man on the side. Good. I want us to see this empty space. So here I say npx create with my first React app, blah blah blah. You need to select the framework you want, and you have list of options. So you use your arrow key. It's React. So the Vite, we want to install Vite in React. That is the essence of what we are doing. So you select Vite. You select React. Okay. So if it's Angular, Quick, Solid, Svelte, Split, React, Vue, Vanilla, whatever. This Vanilla is pure JavaScript. I hope you already know that. So this time we need React. I'll select that, press enter. And now, which variant of your framework are you looking for? Is it TypeScript? Is it TypeScript plus SWC, JavaScript, React plus SWC, React Router, version 7, Tank Stack, Router, and all what have you? So we are simply going to use JavaScript. We are not talking about TypeScript here. So here you select React, here you select JavaScript, press enter, and look right inside our folder. Our folder has been created with my first React app name, which I gave it. And then, now it is giving you some heads up on what to do here. You say cd into this app, cd into this file, run npm install, and then run npm run dev. This npm install, it will then install all the node packages and all what have you. So if I open this now, you see that we have a few things here: the public, the src, git ignore, and a few things, the vit configuration file, and just a few things there. So I want to open this inside my VS Code. So what I need to do, I'll open this, click on this, and type cmd, press enter, and I'll type code space dots. Then it will launch the folder inside VS Code for me. Okay, and that is for here. So let's get it down. Okay, so this is what we have. We have our public folder, which contains the Vit logo. If I click on this, is the Vit logo that is inside this place, the SVG file. Inside the SRC, we have our assets, which is the React logo, the app.css, app.jsx, index.css, main.jsx. That's what we have inside the SRC file. And outside here, we have the git ignore, ESLint configuration. We'll talk about all this later. Index.html, package.json file, readme, and the vit configuration file. These are the few things that we have. And if I open this package.json file, you see that we have the scripts, the dev scripts installed. So we are now creating an app that it is going to be built on Vits, okay, and our code, how do I call it? The code structure and the code standard compliance is going to be using these ESLints, okay. It's going to be the preview we run on Vit preview, and up to this point, we have React version 19 installed, the React DOM, these are the two dependencies, and we have the development dependencies, a lot of them installed here. And what you should notice, this Vit version 6 that is installed. So the package.json lock is not yet here, and the node packages are not yet here. Why? Because the installation is partial, is halfway, is half baked at this point. So we will continue the installation. Now we can continue that installation from here. Let me close this one. So we can continue that installation from here. By the time I cd into our project folder and I run this, you see that it will install the remaining ones for us. Okay, but I want to leave this one. Let's continue inside VS Code. Ladies and gentlemen, are we still together? Are we following? Okay, so when I open our terminal on this, I'll click this, I'll click that overall terminal, new terminal. So this is going to open our terminal here. I'll just make it to the full screen. Just give it a moment. Now our terminal is open and we're inside our project folder. So I'll simply run npm install. So this, if I run npm install, it will still work. If I run npm I, it will still work. Whichever one. I stands for install, or you write it in full install. Anyone. you write is okay.
So
So let's watch what is going to happen here. You see that the remaining folders and files will gently come in. So I believe since network started on a good note, you know, go from my hand this time around. So network I beg fear some elders. Yeah. If not get that for a village, make I show you why. Because we've got some elders in the call. Well, okay, the node modules are there, and that is the bulk of the whole thing, remaining one. So if this installation takes too much time, then you have to check your network. If it returns error, you have to check the two installations that I made mention of earlier, the node and npm, and also consider the error message you are getting to be sure that everything is okay. If it's network, then keep on trying until it pulls through. So right here we have our node modules, very plenty. And then shortly is going to finish. So those of you using 5G network, 2 seconds, the whole thing installation is completed. But we here, and even they pity this thing when they blink. Since when they blink, you never tire. For don't quickly give me return if I may go rest. Okay, so make we not go with the wait for this one. Because I did praise them want to do shakara. So let's okay. So what we have experienced it before. So but it just boils down to network. Because if network is good, it doesn't take this much time. Now let us dissect oh because this is I want to change my mind. I don't finish. So 225 packages and 26 audited packages in 4 minutes. But 8 packages are looking for funding. Nice one, well done. And found zero vulnerabilities. Okay, so here we have our node modules installed, and we have the the package log, package.json log file installed as well. And if you look at this case, we have a lot of files here, which we don't need to bother ourselves with now. So I'm not going to say anything about this. So our business is strictly on this. Now, inside this package JSON file, we have additional scripts. What is it called? Okay, no. It's inside this package log that you have additional stuff installed. But that's fine. Now, the next thing we need to do is to run we're going to run our npm run dev, and where is that coming from? It's coming from these scripts. So npm run this dev will run our application on Vite. It's very simple. So if you are not using Vite and run npm dev, npm run dev, it is not going to run. So let's see if everything is going to work fine. Here I'm going to type npm run. Let's see first. I will not add it. Okay. I do not add dev. So it says scripts available in this blah 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 via npm run scripts. So we have the dev, build, late, preview. So what is telling you is that in the npm run scripts, there are a list of scripts that you can run. That is when you run only npm run. Now, we are not building yet. We just want to run our app on Vite or with Vite, so to speak, and that's why we need to add this one. So at this point, we write npm run dev, and then that should kickstart everything. But is there anything that we need to worry about here? Vite 6.3 is not yet supported in Community Edition of Console Ninja because of this. Okay, they're working hard on it. So don't worry about this one. This problem is particularly related to me because I have an extension that caused this one. Estimated release date, blah blah blah. So they are just trying to promote something to me. Otherwise, you may not see this line of code except you are using some of the extension that I have installed on my VS Code. But then here is our URL, and I can copy this or copy it and then come to our browser, paste and run, and sharply supposed to have our app running. Oh, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So up to this point, we have successfully installed our React with Vite, and it is up and running. React plus Vite. So everything is working as expected. Now, do we have any question? Yes or no? Okay, let me check the chat in case somebody is dropping a message. Okay. So, are we all good? All right. Now, quickly, this night, I'm not going to bore us with a lot of things that are not necessary. Okay. So, with time, we now get to know them. If we start now by explaining what ESLint config file is, vite config, what we have inside this, that will give us a lot of stress. But what I want to focus, what I want to focus on is this source folder, SRC. So inside it we have main, index, app, and app.js and app.css. And the first thing is, because we want to run some HTML kind of code inside our JavaScript, that's why we added the JSX extension instead of just JS. So if you put app.js alone, then you're going to have issues running some templates inside your app. Okay, so that's why we have app.jsx, main.jsx. Now, if you are using TypeScript, you use app.tsx and all of that. Now, what are the files that are very important here? Number one, this app.css is not important, so I'm going to delete it. That's one. Two, index.css, yes, is very, very important. And let me explain the difference between these two. Why do we have two CSS files? The index.css is the root CSS file. So whatever CSS file you write or whatever CSS code you write inside this index.css will show up within all the application. Okay? Now, because this is the index.css. So even if you want to use maybe a CSS library like Tailwind CSS, this is where you perform your configurations for the app to recognize that library. But this one is specifically applied to what you have inside this app.jsx file. Okay? How sure or how unsure are we? Let me split the screen and then let's swing into action. Now right here, I can split my screen this way. I think I have this code open twice. Alright, so if I delete this, let me just delete some of them. Let's give me a second. It's like a battle green light. Okay, so let me get rid of this and then I refresh. What's going on? The app is not running again. So let's rerun it. And it's fine. I refresh. So you see, I remove this one and see that the styles applied to this particular app on the app.css has stopped working. But if you open the index.css, you see that we still have some styles that are here, which is still working on this code that you are seeing on the page right here. So if I delete this one, now you see that the global styles and everything is at this point that everything is reset back to zero. Okay, but if I leave it, you see that it is still there. But whatever I decide here is only specifically applied to this one. So for that singular reason, I'm gonna get rid of this. I don't need it, or we don't need it. Bye bye. And the CSS, we leave it. So we leave index.css, main.js, and app.js. So let's leave what we have inside this main.js. Our focus is inside this app.jsx. That is where our focus should be. Okay. And I don't want to explain what we have inside here. Instead, I will get rid of everything. I'll get rid of everything. Our app should be reset back to square one. Okay, so every other thing should remain the way it is to avoid confusion. The only thing I deleted is the app.css, and that's all. Then index.css, let's leave it there. Main.jsx, let's leave it there. Our business now is app.jsx, and I deleted everything inside. Let's now start explaining from the beginning what's to do with React, how to handle React. Okay. Now, already in our JavaScripts, we know how to write a function in JavaScript, and from even from what what is it called? From what Josephine explained to us on her project, we know that we write. She showed us plenty functions. So in JavaScript, when we are writing function, we use function. We give it a name like new app. We do something like this. We come and we leave it this way. Okay, and here can say return and we close it like this. Okay, so in what is it called? In React, a function like this, though it's not complete, is what we call a component in React. Very important. So if you already know how to write a function, then creating a component is what you are learning already, but with a little tweak. Number one, React is a library that allows us to write modulated code. What does that mean? It allows us to write a code in one file, export it to use it in another file, and all of that. But in JavaScript, we don't practice that. Okay, we just have to create files on a separate page. If you want to use it there, use it right there. But for the fact that we are able to reuse a component in React, then you write your function in such a way that you can export it. In other words, we now call it a component that you can export. And that is why in React you start with in React you start with export default. Okay. Now with this export default, you see that the problem is already sorted out. It's no longer shouting at us. So this exported default can be in the first line of your code, or it can be down. If you don't want it to be here, you can get rid of it from here, okay, and then come down and say export default, and then you call the app name on the components. So let's start using the React language. This is the first fix. Me, I like I like it I like it to be on the same line like this. Okay, me I like it like this. That is me. So another person will like it differently. Now, another problem or another thing that we need to sort out is in JavaScript, when we are writing a variable name or a, what is it called, a function name, we use camel case like this. But this is not the practice in React. Camel cases start with a small letter, the following word would be capital letter. No, in React, you start with capital letter. So we have app with capital letter. Hmm? That is how React is made to function. Okay? Now, because we are working inside our JSX, what happens is when you create your React app or when you create your React components, then a component is meant to return something. Whatever that component will return is up to you. Okay, so in this case now, our components, we may say, okay, return this, and I save. So it's going to return a div with a class name, but I don't want this class name. So let me just get rid of this class name. I don't want it. So this one is returning a div. Inside the div, you pass in your H1 and the paragraph. My React app. This is a simple React application, and you can already see it here on the screen. But then, what happens if why must I put it inside the div? I will get rid of this. I just want to return the headings and the paragraph. Why is it not working? Must I use a div? Now by force. But look at what is going on here. It says plugin fits React Babel. It says right here, adjacent JSX elements must be wrapped in an enclosing tag. In fact, that is the rule. So it is not by choice that you must return elements inside an enclosed tag. It's not by force, like by choice, but it is a rule in React. So if you don't want to use div, you can use empty tags like this. Just open, close, something like this has already sorted the problem. So you don't want to specify, what is it called? You don't want to specify whether it is div or not div, but it's working right now because of this enclosed tag, because of the empty tag that is here. But there are some cases where you use this. There are some cases where you don't necessarily want to use this, but it's optional. It's up to you. Hmm? So it works similar to if you had written div inside here and div inside here. The two will give you, this is div, sorry. This AI now will put me for trouble one day. Allow me to write what I want to write. So this is, I hope we're understanding what I'm saying here now. So you don't just come and write your heading, you want to return a heading and then just go ahead and return a heading and stuff like that. No, no, no. It must be in an enclosed tag, in a div tag, or in an empty div tag, an empty tag, so to speak. But you can also use a kind of semantic HTML. So let's call this header. Okay. To put header, maybe this section handles the header of your application. You just give it a header or main or stuff like that. But let it be an enclosed tag. That is very, very, very important. Another thing is you have to close it in brackets. Okay, so if it's something that is just one line of code you want to return, you may not need to enclose it this way. So you can do something like let me reverse it like this, and so I put something like this and like this. So I get rid of this and this, and return this. See, so if I leave it like this, it is still working, it works fine. But because you want to pass in multiple elements inside this component, then you have to wrap it in a quote for that not to give you an issue. Wrap it in a quote like this. So this is just the structure of an HTML component. So you can go ahead and make multiple components, you export them, and then you just give your component a name, you return whatever you want to pass in there. And one beauty of it is that whatever most times what you are returning is HTML elements. It's a HTML structured kind of code. And if you want to now infuse some JavaScript inside, there is a way you enter your JavaScript mode, pass in your JavaScript code, and everything will still work fine. Okay, do I have any question? If no question, give thumbs up fast, fast, because it's almost 11. Okay, Ahmed, go ahead.
Actually, so my question is the export default function app. Hello, sir. Can
I'm,
you hear me?
yeah, I'm listening.
Actually, the export default function app. That's my question. How do you come about the export default instead of the normal function?
I guess your network is breaking because I explained that very well. Okay, let me put it's okay. Simply put, so I don't hear people they talk that kind. Simply say that this exports default makes this component to be reusable. How? Exports allows you to access this component in another file, which means you're already opening the door or giving the permission for another file to use this component. That's the essence of this exports defaults. It's up to you. It's up to you. So me, I can put the export defaults like this, but the export default must be part of the component. If it's not part of the component, then we're going to have issue.
Okay, I'm sorry. I have to log out and come back again. I can't see your screen.
Okay, but before you log out, hear what I'm explaining first.
Okay, sir.
Is either you put the export defaults from the beginning or you put it at the end. Whichever one is better for you. It's me that choose to leave it at the beginning of the line. So everybody have the one that they enjoy most. But this is what
Okay.
me I enjoy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get it now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, do you have any other question? Yes, question. No, no question. So, what is the answer? And people they don't sleep, leave me. I said they don't sleep. Chibundo is giving me thumbs up. So, which means you don't sleep true. Okay. All right. So, let's proceed. Hold on this. So, I have to refresh this. Okay. Now, let's go into something else. Okay, I get it. I got it. Now that we have our app running, let's quickly create something like this. I'll just call this my first React app. Then just leave it the way it is. Then I'll come down here. I'll create another component. I'll create another component that I'm going to call function. This I'm going to call it button. Remember that we start our component name with capital letter. So I just create something like this. A component that is a button. I refresh. It is not showing. Why is it not showing? It is not showing because this component is not yet part of our application. So I can come inside here and then use that component by just calling the name here, and then here you see the button showing. Let me give this space. So you see the button is here. So when you create a component, you have to make sure that you use that component before it can be showing, and you use the component inside your your app component, because this is the main thing. This is the parent file of your application. So whatever that is not inside this app component simply means that it's not being used by that app. Okay, so let's cut off these two things. I'll delete this one, and then I'll create another component here that I'll call message. And this message, I'm going to just return a paragraph. Then this paragraph, let me just put P. I just call it this is simple message components, and I save. It's not showing yet. I'll come up here and I'll use that component. And you see that it's showing right here. So this is how you create a component and you use the component. You create a component and you use the component. And this is nothing but just what we already know as JavaScript function.